Well, good afternoon, and I want to welcome you all to the second quarterly Board of Directors meeting with residents. Thank you for all being here. Unfortunately, Joe could not be here today, got a family emergency, but we'll fill in as best we can and take as much as we can. Let me first introduce our board members who are present. Bill O'Connor's up here in the front. He's also been a past head dude in charge of the board of directors. He was chairman. And then we have chairman of our finance committee, Paula Kelton. And we have Joe Hearn. And then, as I promised at the beginning of the year, we would introduce to you all of our board members. So last time we had two, we have two more today. We have Bruce Smith and Elliot Wimberly. And they'll be talking to you after the awards. So thank you.
Okay, recognizing for 5 years of service, Tiffany Barras, Certified Nursing Assistant, Majestic Oaks. Unfortunately, Tiffany is unable to join us today. Francis Diaz, Resident Engagement Director, 5 years of service, Oak Haven. Trinity Elzie, server, 5 years of service. Paige Gifford, lead housekeeper, 5 years of service, Oak Haven. Maritza Jimenez. Unfortunately, Maritza is unable to join us today. Registered nurse, Majestic Oaks, 5 years of service. Taylor Mack, server, 5 years of service. William Miller, maintenance tech, 5 years of service, Oak Haven. Nicole Perez, Resident Engagement Coordinator, 5 years of service, Oak Haven. Satira Washington, Patient Care Assistant, 5 years of service, Oakview Suites. Polly Barrett, unfortunately, is unable to attend today's awards. Licensed practical nurse, 10 years of service. Hyacinth James, Certified Nursing Assistant, 10 years of service, Majestic Oaks. James Madison, Certified Nursing Assistant, 10 years of service, Majestic Oaks. Merle Parks, unfortunately, is unable to join us today. Housekeeper, 10 years of service. Trinity Rice, Home Health Aide, 10 years of service. Michelle Barker, housekeeper, 15 years of service. Candice DiGiovanni, Resident Services Coordinator, 15 years of service. Karen Rios, Home Health Companion, 15 years of service. Dennis Curry, cook, 20 years of service, Majestic Oaks. Lydia Segarra, housekeeper, 20 years of service. Unfortunately, Lydia is unable to join us today. And for 40 years of service, Vicky Stein. Thank you so much.
We have two fine gentlemen that will share their life with you in under 5 minutes. So Bruce, do you want to come up first?
Beginner button.
Oh,
There you go.
that's you.
Yeah, good job, good job. All right, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Bruce Smith. I'm honored to serve on the board of directors as vice chairman here at John Knox Village. A little bit about me. I currently serve as the campus president with ECPI University located in Lake Mary, where I oversee healthcare, nursing, cybersecurity, and various allied health education programs. Throughout my career, over 20 years now, I've been in higher education, both in leadership, organizational growth, workforce development, and just helping organizations build strong foundations for long-term success. What drew me to John Knox Village is that it's much more than just a retirement community. It's a community with a mission, a history, and most importantly, a commitment to people who call it home. As a board member, I view my role in 3 primary lenses. Number 1, stewardship, ensuring that JKV remains financially strong and sustainable for current and future residents. Number 2, governance, helping establish policies and strategic direction while allowing management to handle the day-to-day operations. And number 3, advocacy, remembering that every decision that we make ultimately impacts residents and their quality of life. One thing I've learned during my time on the board is that residents care deeply about this community, and rightfully so. The passion, the engagement, and willingness of residents to ask questions, for us to provide feedback, and to stay involved are among JKV's strengths, greatest strengths at that. As board members, we each bring a different perspective based on our professional backgrounds and experience. My background in leadership, education, strategy, and organizational development are key things that I bring to the board. And I hope to use those things to support JKV's continued growth and success. Looking ahead, I believe our focus should remain on the following: maintaining the financial strength of the village, supporting high-quality resident services, ensuring transparency and accountability, and positioning JKV to thrive for generations to come. I want to thank you all for the opportunity to be able to serve you all, but also look forward to continuing to listen, learn, and work alongside fellow board members and the village leadership to ensure that John Knox Village remains a community that we all can be proud of today and in the future to come. So thank you all.
Last but not least is Elliot Wimberly. And Elliot, if you can come on up. But I just want to say a little extra thing for this man. He is a veteran extraordinaire from the Middle East and served all over the Middle East. And frankly, he's quite a hero. So welcome, Elliot. There we go.
That's me. I'm Elliot Wimberly, and Secretary, the Treasurer of John Knox Village. I live in a 55 and older community in Groveland. I volunteer for the John Knox Village board because I believe in its mission and provide a high quality and caring community for the residents. I'm committed to ensure that John Knox Village remains financially strong, well-governed, and responds to the needs of the current and future residents. Serving the JKV board allows me to contribute my experience, knowledge, and leadership to decisions that shape JKV future. I value to opportunity to fellow board members, management, and residents to preserve and enhance quality of life that makes John Knox Village a special place to live. Most importantly, I see the board service to giving back to the community. Protect its long-term success and ensure that the future generations of residents that same opportunity and benefits today. I grew up in a rice farm in southwest Louisiana. I earned a bachelor's degree in plant science at LSU and an MBA in international finance from Friends University in Wichita, Kansas. I bring 4 decades to experience in the board and intelligence operations, corporate governance, strategic planning, federal contracting, private equity, real estate, and organizational development. I began my career in 1977 with the Central Intelligence Agency, serving in the Director of Operations from 1977 to 1997. After 9/11, I was called in Afghanistan for 3 years. During my intelligence career, I have held leadership and operation roles supporting national security interests worldwide. My experience in managing complex operations and assessing risk and coordinating the agency's challenging environments. I spent 23 years of living overseas and the Middle East. As my government service, I held roles in, after my government service, I held roles in private sector. As the last job was the president and CEO of Gold Belt Inc., which is the Alaska Native Corporation. I led a diversified 20 companies in tourism, security services, real estate, and federal contracting. Under my leadership, annual revenue grew from 97 million in 2010 to 500 million annually in 2019. While the profit increased, expanded operations. We had 1,700 employees worldwide. Today, I serve on the board of John Knox Village in Central Florida, drawing my experience in leadership, governance, and finance and strategic planning. I'm committed to supporting the long-term success of John Knox Village and enhancing the quality of residents. Thank you.
I know Cynthia's tremendously excited to go over numbers with you, but it's a good thing to hear from the OIR report from Cynthia. Thank you.
We just knew that you had so much fun with the numbers last quarter. We just thought we'd keep throwing some at you. All right, so we're going to go over a very summarized brief version of our annual report that we file with the Florida Office of Insurance Regulation. Here we go. All right, so we file annually and quarterly several financial reportings with the Florida Office of Insurance Regulation, which I will refer to as OIR as we continue. The annual report is due 120 days after the end of the community's fiscal year, so for us, we have to file that report by May 1st. We do keep a copy when I get it into the library. We keep a copy in the library. So I'll be double checking to make sure that we've got that in there along with our quarterly one that we have just done. The report is also presented in detail, so they get much more than a 10-minute version. They get an hour and 10-minute version review to the Resident Council Finance Committee. along with the quarterly reports that we do those throughout the year and review with them as well. And our annual report must line up with what our audit report is. So there's some differences in, how some things between our annual audit and the OIR formats, which both of those are very set formats. So sometimes they have a little bit of difference in how they align. But the important thing is that we get to the same total numbers on both sets of reports. And we do file a copy of our audit with the annual report to the OIR. The report to the OIR covers, especially the annual version of it, covers so many different topics. It's a lot of data gathering by the office, as well as, it's to gather some information and data and statistics that they do all kinds of fun information with from all the communities in Florida. But it's also their oversight, right, to make sure that we're in good financial health as a community to serve our residents. So some of the things that they look for and want information on is information about our fees and charges, the types of contracts, the number of residents we have, information about our wait list, our reservation deposits, our sales, our entrance fees. Of course, they want to look at our financials, covering our balance sheet, our statement of operations and cash flow. They want to make sure that we have calculated every year what our minimum liability liquid reserve needs to be. So that is a separate report that we file annually, and that's about 100 pages to work our way through that information to make that calculation, and all the support that must go with it. And they're also looking at the financial metrics that they have determined to make sure that we are meeting financial metrics. And then they always want to make sure that they are current with who our board of directors are and the office positions that they hold. So our review today is just going to have some little snippet screenshots that are coming directly from the report as best as I could fit them in, and I will try to show comparisons where applicable, how that also matches and aligns with our audit. So the first thing that we're going to look at is the fee charges and the type and contracts and the number of residents. So they always want to know what is the range of our fees, both from entrance fees and monthly service fees. So we report the highest and the lowest of each one. So for our entrance fees, our lowest entrance fee in 2025 was $75,000, and our highest was $425,000. If there's a second resident, that's a flat $26,000 extra in the entrance fee. And our monthly service fees ranged from $2,555 up to $5,225, and then our second person fee at $1,423. Level of care, number of residents. So this is reporting, there's a couple, 2 or 3 different ways that we do residential reporting throughout the report. This particular section is truly counting every physical body resident that is living at John Knox, whether they're contract or not, because then we separate it out to those that have a contract and those that do not. So in independent living at 12/31, it's a snapshot of the last day of the year. We had 674 total residents living in independent living. They all had life care contracts, because to come into independent living, you must come in on a life care contract. In our assisted living and new Oak Haven memory care, we had a combined total of 34 residents that had a life care contract and 59 residents that were direct admits from the community. And then in skilled nursing, we had 34 residents that had a life care contract and 78 that were direct admits from the community, giving us a total of 742 with a contract, 137 direct from a community, and doing the math, that's 879 residents living on campus on 12/31 of 2025. Comparing that to 2024, we were, it's about an additional 54 residents. The main part of that 54 residents actually came from the addition of our Oak Haven. So without the Oak Haven, we were pretty even to 2024, and that's where we came in at for the resident count. Those are gonna go tumbling. All right, the next information that they would like reporting on to the OIR is information about our wait list and information about our reservation deposits. The difference is the wait list is clients that come in, they tour with the sales and marketing team, they decide, hey, you know, we're really interested in John Knox, we think we might want to come live here someday, but we're not quite ready yet. We don't know if we're going to be ready in 6 months, a year and 6 months, maybe a couple of years, but we want a holding spot on a list so that as you have vacancies that come available, we would have some priority from just any other person coming in off the street and now there's an available unit. We would have priority essentially to either have the opportunity to deposit on that unit or not. So at the beginning of the year, so carried over from 12/31 of 24, on January 1 of 25, we had 25 wait lists. During the year, we took another 86 wait lists. We utilized 33 of those in total. Now, utilize can mean either they moved in, which the majority of those did, and then that wait list goes towards their deposit and their entrance fee, or they may have canceled and decided they didn't want to be on the wait list anymore. At the end of the year, we had 78 potential new residents on our wait list at a value of $117,000. We carry that as a liability on our balance sheet. Reservation deposits are the 10% that we collect once a new resident is signing the contract committing to moving into John Knox Village. So at the beginning of the year, on January 1, we had 9 10% deposits that were carrying over from the prior year. So they had deposited in 24 but had not moved in yet. During the year, we collected another 57 10% deposits. We utilized 60, and again, that most likely means that they moved in, but we may have had some that canceled and backed out of the contract. And at the end of the year, we had 6 10% deposits on hand waiting for their units to be done and to move into John Knox at a value of $136,400. Next is the financial information that we report to the OIR. This should be, I know you're just going to recognize all of this from the audit when we looked at it 3 months ago, and you're going to say, that's absolutely right, that's what that number was. So I helped put them up here to help compare and to remind you. So the top section is kind of the total lines that I pulled in from the OIR report. This is on our balance sheet, showing our total current assets, a little over $17 million, total non-current assets, a little over $221 million, for total assets of $239+ million. We have to balance that with our liabilities. So our total current liabilities, a little over $3 million, our non-current liabilities, a little over $75 million, putting total liabilities at a little over $78 million, and our total net assets at 161, adding those together, and you get to the $239 million that matches the total assets above. And the bottom section is coming straight from our audit report, showing that we're matching our assets and our liabilities balanced together and matching to our report to the OIR. The next part of the financial reports is the statement of operations. So this is essentially the income statement for John Knox Village. At the top, we have reported to the OIR revenues, a total of $72+ million, expenses $52+ million, some little bit of monies that were released from restrictions, and then also some monies taken in for contributions, which gave us a change in net assets, meaning a net income, of $19,792,248. Compare that to our audit report, total revenues, $64 million, plus non-operating income, the majority of that having to do with like unrealized gains from the investments, $6.8 million. The change in the net assets from the foundation that we recognize, $202,000, and the change in assets with restrictions, $235,000, gets you to that total revenue number of the $72,135 of $297, and then our total expenses, $52,343,048, gets us to $17,792,249. And yes, if you spied it, there's a little bit of a difference of $72,135,297 up at the top to the $72,123,268. That has to do with that $64,000 number that's up at the top. Again, it's how they align on the reports. This is, did I hit enter? There we go. All right, our cash flow statement. So the cash flow statement is a document that takes you through an exercise to say, what was your change in net assets, so your net income or loss, and what do you really have in the bank? Because not every transaction that is on the statement of operations is an actual cash in or cash out. A really good example of that is depreciation expense. Something that we buy today that has a 10-year life and we spend $50,000 on, we'll take all $50,000 out of our bank account, but we don't recognize all $50,000 of that expense on the statement of operations because we recognize that $50,000 over the next 10 years. So that's a good example of the difference between cash in and out of your bank account versus how you're recognizing revenues or expenses on your statement of operations. So this exercise gets you from one number to the other, and yes, there's a lot of in between going on, on those lines of all the different things that we add in, we subtract out, and we add back, and we take back out to get to those numbers. But starting with our change in net assets of the $19,792 million, we had an overall decrease in the cash of those activities of $526,000. You take our cash at the beginning of the period, which was $13,128. That difference of the $526 gets you to the cash at the end of the period. So that means literally in our operating accounts of cash, we had $12,602,903, which matches to our audit report by $1 off, which is rounding. Clear as mud? All right, moving on from the financial statements. So I think this is taking us pretty close to our end. So the minimum liability, minimum liquid reserve, a little bit interchangeable there. We always have to report on that to the MLR. So we calculate it once a year, and the time frame that it covers actually goes from July 1st to June 30th of the following year. So right now, we're still in the required amount for another 2 weeks that was calculated a year ago. That amount that was calculated that we needed to have was actually here on the bottom, that we needed to have $10,566,000 in our reserves to cover operations for a year. What we actually had in the bank in our escrow account was $11,718,000 plus. So the OIR wants to make sure that we have at least as much as we're required to have. They look at the market value of that. So that 11.7 is the market value, which in the top section is different than the actual cost, which means book value, which was a little over 11 million. OIR doesn't care about the book value, they care about the market value, right? Because if something catastrophic were to happen today and we had to dip into those reserves, what would be the value of the monies that we could get from those reserves? And that's why they watch the market value. Why is there such a difference between the 10.5 required and the 11.7 that we have in there? We always want to make sure that we keep a cushion to adjust for those markets up and down, because if the market goes down and that comes down a little bit, we want to make sure that we're still meeting our requirement for our reserve. And then lastly, is the financial metrics that OIR always wants to make sure that we are meeting. These metrics are part of the annual report and each of the quarterly reports. They established these metrics officially in 2019. They were kind of unofficial up to that point. So the three metrics that they watch are the days cash on hand, the occupancy, and whether or not you are meeting your debt service requirements. So for days cash on hand, their requirement is 100 days. You have to have enough funds to operate for 100 days. That's not even 3 full months, but it's 100 days is their requirement. What do we have? We have 803 days at the end of 2025. So we're far outweighing what the requirement is for their days cash on hand. For occupancy, they are looking to have 80% occupancy. We came in at 90.1% occupancy. That is all levels of service for a whole year. What was the average occupancy? It's not just the 12/31 snapshot. That looks at literally all 365 days. What was your total occupancy? So it was 90.1%. And then debt coverage ratio, they require 1.2 if you happen to have debt. Since we don't have debt, we automatically get a waive on that metric. So that would be considered to be in compliance. And that is your 15-minute quick review of the OIR to the annual report. Are there any burning questions out there? Good. I was hoping that. No! Wait a minute. We got a question. Unofficially, I mean, I could go back to my office and kind of pull out my spreadsheets that I do watch, that I know what we've reported every quarter and every year. As long as they're really good numbers, which those two particular numbers have been really good for us for at least since I've been watching it, which has been 5 years now. So I trend it to the point that, yeah, we're still good. We're doing great. I don't have to worry about it. But I don't do any like official reporting trending on it other than to our finance committee. So, any other questions? All right, our next resident board quarterly is in September on the 15th. And thank you very much and enjoy your evening. Thank you. Thank you. You guys too. Nice job. I actually love hearing your guys' bios.
That's very Elliot told me on our retreat. He was on a secret mission on a helicopter with 7 guys on a secret mission, got shot down, and 3 of them died.
Oh my
He
gosh.
barely survived, but he said he had a bad brain bleed, which has affected me. I wondered,
Is that what it is? Yeah.
that's what it cost.
Yeah. My assumption was that.
That's lucky to be here.
Years in the CIA.
Oh my
Yeah,
gosh.
very.
I know several languages.
Thank you.